Okay, real talk. What if I told you that your morning coffee, that $5 cup you grab without even thinking about it, could either make you a millionaire or cost you nearly $500,000? Not over a lifetime, not some crazy complicated investment strategy, just $5 every single day. And here's the part that's going to mess with your head a little bit. The difference between starting that habit at 25 versus starting it at 35, just 10 years apart, isn't $50,000. It isn't $100,000. It isn't even $200,000. The difference is closer to $400,000. $400,000 from a 10-year head start on $5 a day. I know, it sounds insane. It sounds like something a guy trying to sell you a course would say, but this isn't a sales pitch. This is math. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this happens, why almost nobody actually does it, and why the biggest financial mistake most Americans make has nothing to do with how much money they earn. Stay with me here, because this one's going to change the way you think about time and money forever. Let me paint you a picture. Meet Jordan. Jordan's 25 years old, lives in Austin, Texas, works a regular 9 to 5, makes about $52,000 a year, which is pretty close to the median individual income in the US right now. Jordan isn't rich. Jordan isn't broke. Jordan is just normal. And like most normal 25-year-olds, Jordan thinks investing is something you do later, when you have more money, when life settles down, when the student loans are paid off, when the car is paid off, when you finally get that raise, when things feel more stable. Sound familiar? This is the story of basically every American in their mid-20s. And nobody blames Jordan, because on the surface, that thinking makes total sense. Why would you invest when you feel like you're barely keeping up? Here's the trap, though. Later is the most expensive word in personal finance. And the reason most people don't figure that out until it's too late is because the damage isn't visible. When you skip the gym for a week, you can feel it. When you eat bad for a month, you can see it. But when you delay investing for 10 years, the cost is completely invisible, right up until the moment it's way too late to fix it. Jordan tells himself the same thing millions of Americans tell themselves every single day. I'll start investing when I'm 35. By then, I'll have a better job, more money, fewer expenses. It'll be easier. I'll invest more then to make up for it. And that right there, that one belief, is costing Jordan nearly $500,000. Let's talk about why. All right, so to understand what's actually happening here, we need to talk about one of the most powerful forces in all of personal finance, compound interest. Now, before your eyes glaze over, I promise this isn't going to be a boring math lecture. I want you to actually feel what compound interest does, because once you feel it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Imagine you have a snowball, and you're standing at the top of a really long hill covered in snow. You pack a tiny snowball, just a small one, and you start rolling it down the hill. At first, nothing impressive happens. The snowball is small. It picks up a tiny bit of snow with every rotation. You're watching it and thinking, okay, this isn't that exciting. But halfway down the hill, something starts to shift. The snowball is bigger now. And because it's bigger, it picks up more snow with every single rotation. More surface area touching the ground means more snow collected. The bigger it gets, the faster it grows. By the time it reaches the bottom of the hill, that tiny snowball you rolled from the top has turned into something enormous. That is compound interest. Your money earns returns, then those returns earn returns, then those returns earn returns on their returns, and on and on and on. The longer it rolls, the more insane the growth becomes. Now, here's where Jordan's story gets really interesting. Let's say Jordan decides, you know what, forget it. I'll just skip one coffee a day. That's $5. And instead of spending it, Jordan invests it every single day, starting at age 25. $5 a day, $150 a month. That's it. Jordan puts that into a basic S&P 500 index fund, which has historically averaged around 10% annual returns over long periods of time. We'll be a little conservative and use 10% because it makes the math clean and it's historically accurate for long-term S&P 500 performance. Jordan does this consistently every single month for 40 years until age 65. Want to know what Jordan ends up with? $948,000, nearly $1 million, from $5 a day. Jordan didn't get a promotion. Jordan didn't win the lottery. Jordan didn't start a business. Jordan just skipped one coffee a day and invested that money consistently for 40 years. That's it. Now, let's meet Alex. Alex is the same age as Jordan, same income, same everything. But Alex does exactly what the average American does. Alex waits. Alex tells himself he'll get serious about investing at 35. And at 35, Alex keeps his promise. Alex starts investing $5 a day, the same amount as Jordan, into the same S&P 500 index fund at the same 10% average return. The only difference is Alex starts at 35 instead of 25, so Alex invests for 30 years instead of 40. 1 decade less. Here's what Alex ends up with at age 65. $339,000. $339,000. That's not a bad number. That's actually pretty solid. Alex did the right thing. Alex invested consistently. Alex stayed disciplined for 30 years. But Jordan ended up with $948,000. The difference between Jordan and Alex is $609,000. $609,000 from starting just 10 years earlier. Let that sink in for a second. Jordan and Alex invested the exact same amount per month, the exact same fund, the exact same return rate. The only variable, the only thing that was different was that Jordan started 10 years earlier. And that 10-year head start was worth over $600,000. This is why I said earlier that later is the most expensive word in personal finance, because delay doesn't just cost you the money you didn't invest. Delay cost you all the growth that money would have generated, and all the growth on top of that growth, and all the growth on top of that. The cost of waiting isn't linear, it's exponential. It multiplies on itself in a way that our brains genuinely struggle to process. And that's actually really important. Let's talk about why our brains are terrible at understanding this. Here's something that psychologists and behavioral economists have studied for years. Human beings are really, really bad at thinking about exponential growth. We are wired to think in straight lines. If something grows by $10 every year, we expect it to be at $100 after 10 years. Linear, predictable, simple. Our brains love that. But compound interest doesn't grow in a straight line. It curves, and that curve gets steeper and steeper over time in a way that our brains genuinely cannot intuitively grasp. There's actually a famous experiment where researchers asked people to estimate how much a penny doubled every day for 30 days would be worth. Most people guessed somewhere between $1,000 and $10,000. The actual answer? Over $5 million. People were off by a factor of hundreds, not because they're bad at math, but because our brains simply aren't built to feel exponential growth. We can calculate it, but we can't feel it. And this disconnect between what we can feel and what is mathematically true is one of the biggest reasons people delay investing. Think about it from Jordan's perspective at age 25. Jordan opens an investment account and puts in $150 the first month. Month 2, maybe the account is at $301.75. Month 3, $453.76. Jordan looks at this and thinks, okay, so in 3 months I have $453. That feels slow. That feels like nothing. That doesn't feel like a path to $1 million. And here's the cruel psychological trick that compound interest plays on you. In the early years, the growth feels invisible. You don't see the snowball getting bigger. You just see a small snowball barely moving. And because humans are wired to respond to immediate, visible feedback, not invisible, delayed rewards, it feels pointless.
Psychologists call this hyperbolic discounting. It's our tendency to prefer smaller rewards right now over much larger rewards in the future. Your brain literally assigns more value to the $5 coffee you can enjoy today than to the $50,000 that $5 could become in 30 years, because today is real. The future feels abstract. This is why the habit of investing is so psychologically hard to start and maintain. It feels like nothing is happening, until suddenly it feels like everything is happening. Because here's what Jordan's investment timeline actually looks like. In the first 10 years, from age 25 to 35, Jordan invested $18,000 total, and after 10 years, the account is worth about $31,000. That's real growth, but it doesn't feel life-changing. That's the invisible phase, the phase where most people give up, the phase where Alex decided to wait. But then something shifts. From age 35 to 45, Jordan hasn't invested any more than before, still $150 a month, but the account goes from $31,000 to roughly $112,000. It grew by $81,000 in 10 years, almost 3 times more than the entire previous decade.
From age 45 to 55, it goes from $112,000 to around $320,000, growth of $208,000 in 1 decade. And from age 55 to 65, it explodes from $320,000 to nearly $950,000, almost $630,000 of growth in the final decade alone. Nearly 2/3 of Jordan's entire wealth was built in the last 10 years. This is the part that blows people's minds. The snowball doesn't look impressive for a long time, and then all at once it becomes an avalanche. And this is exactly what Alex missed by starting 10 years later. Alex joined the game right when the real growth was about to kick in, but missed the decade of foundation that made all the explosive growth possible. Here's another way to think about it. The $18,000 Jordan invested between age 25 and 35, that first decade of investing, ended up being responsible for the majority of Jordan's final wealth, because that money had the longest time to compound. Those early dollars were rolling down the hill the longest. They picked up the most snow. Some people do the math and realize that Jordan's first 10 years of investing actually generated more wealth than Alex's entire 30 years of investing. Think about that. Jordan's $18,000 invested before age 35 created more wealth than Alex's entire $54,000 invested from age 35 to 65. Time in the market beat money in the market. Every single time. Now here's where this gets even deeper psychologically. Most people, when they hear this, have one of 2 reactions. The first reaction is inspiration. Oh wow, I need to start immediately. This makes total sense. The second reaction, and this is the more common one for people who are already past 25, is regret. It's too late for me. I missed my window. This doesn't apply to me anymore. And I need to talk about that second reaction because it's just as dangerous as procrastination. If you're 30, 35, even 40 and you haven't started yet, the worst thing you can do is let the feeling of "it's too late" stop you from starting right now. Because here's the thing, the best time to invest was yesterday. The second best time is today. Is the math as favorable as it would have been at 22? No. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? Absolutely not. Because the same principle that makes starting at 25 better than starting at 35 also makes starting at 35 dramatically better than starting at 45, and starting at 40 dramatically better than starting at 50. Every single day you wait, you're paying the delay tax. Every single day you start, you're buying more time for your money to compound. There's also a really important psychological trap that hits people once they understand this concept. It's called all or nothing thinking. They hear $5 a day and think, okay, so I need to invest exactly $5 a day or this won't work the way it's supposed to. And then life happens. A rough month comes. They can't invest for a few weeks. And instead of just picking back up and continuing, they feel like they failed. They stop altogether. But compound interest doesn't care about perfect consistency. It cares about consistent participation. Investing $100 a month when you can't do $150, investing $75 a month during a hard stretch, investing $200 when you get a bonus. All of it matters. All of it compounds. The key is staying in the game, not playing it perfectly. Okay, so let's bring all of this down to something real and actionable, because I don't want this video to make you feel great for 15 minutes and then you forget about it. I want this to actually change something. Here's what this all comes down to. First, start today, not next month, not when you feel financially ready, today. Because every single day of delay has a measurable cost. You've seen the math now. You know what a decade costs. Don't let another week become another month, become another year, become another decade. Second, it doesn't have to be $5. The $5 a day example is designed to show you that the amount matters less than the habit and the time. If you can only do $2 a day, $60 a month, start there. If you can do $10 a day, $300 a month, amazing. The math scales. The principle stays exactly the same. Start where you are, increase as you can. Third, make it automatic. This is genuinely the most important practical step because willpower is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes, but automation is permanent. Set up automatic contributions to a Roth IRA, your 401k, or a basic brokerage account on the day you get paid, before you have a chance to spend it, before your brain convinces you that you need it for something else. Pay yourself first, automatically, and let compound interest do the rest. Fourth, boring wins. You don't need a hot stock pick. You don't need to chase crypto. You don't need to find the next big thing. A simple S&P 500 index fund, something like VOO or FXAIX, or just your company's 401k matched to a target date fund is all you need. The boring, simple, automatic approach has outperformed most active investors over every long period of time in market history. Boring is powerful. Boring wins. Fifth, stop watching the account. Seriously, one of the worst things about having instant access to your investment accounts on your phone is that you can check them every single day. And when markets are down, which they will be, regularly as part of normal market behavior, watching the account go red triggers your brain's loss aversion response, which makes it feel 3 times more painful than an equal gain feels good. This causes people to panic sell, to pull their money out at exactly the wrong time. Set it up, automate it, and check it quarterly at most. Let it roll down the hill. And sixth, understand what you're actually doing. This is underrated. When you invest in an S&P 500 index fund, you own tiny pieces of 500 of the largest American companies: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, JP Morgan, Walmart, and 495 others. You are betting on American business as a whole continuing to grow over time. Historically, over every 20-year rolling period in market history, the S&P 500 has been positive. Every single one. Understanding this makes it psychologically easier to stay invested when markets get scary, because you're not betting on one company, you're betting on the American economy. And that's a bet that has rewarded patient investors consistently for over a century. Let me leave you with this. Jordan and Alex lived identical lives. Same income, same bills, same opportunities, same investment strategy. The only difference was a decision Jordan made at 25 that Alex didn't make until 35.
Jordan decided that even though $5 a day felt like nothing, even though the account balance felt laughably small in the beginning, even though there were 100 other things that $5 could have been spent on, Jordan decided to let the snowball start rolling.
And 30 years later, that decision turned out to be worth more than $600,000. The truth about building wealth in America is almost offensively simple. It's not about your salary. It's not about finding the right stock. It's not about timing the market perfectly. It's not about having wealthy parents or the right connections or some secret strategy only rich people know about. It's about starting early and consistently and staying patient while the snowball rolls. The financial system in this country isn't designed to teach you this. Banks make more money when you spend. Credit card companies make more money when you carry a balance. Advertisers make more money when you buy things you don't need. Nobody profits when you quietly, automatically invest $150 a month into a boring index fund and leave it alone for 40 years. Nobody profits, except you. And isn't that exactly the point? You don't need to be rich to start investing. You need to start investing to get rich. The clock is already running. The hill is right there. The only question is, are you going to pack your snowball and let it roll? Start today, even if it's small, even if it feels pointless, even if it feels like nothing is happening. Because nothing is happening until suddenly everything is.